Guys, it's 2023, which means it's a fresh start, it's a new year, a new you. If you are back at work or you're preparing to head back to the office very soon, then this video is for you. I'm going to help you go from office noob to office pro with your workwear in 2023. Now, the overarching theme of this video is to be less stuffy with your approach as to what to wear to work. And while everything is a lot more relaxed nowadays, thanks to the pandemic and the hybrid ways in which we're working, it's still really important to maintain a sense of polish and channel that professionalism when you're in the workplace, because I assume that you guys still care about your job, and I assume that you care about what your colleagues think of you. And who knows, 2023 might be the year that you check off all of those work goals. You know, you might be able to secure that promotion, or you might be able to get that snazzy new job. And so while there's a shift to some more relaxed vibes, let's talk through all things workwear for the year, the things that you should avoid and the things that you should buy instead. And because everybody loves a list and numbered paragraphs, here are my top 4 tips to take you from office noob to office pro in 2023. Now, my first workwear tip of the year is to avoid high heels and instead opt for mid heels or flats. Because I think, if I'm being honest with myself, high heels have become a lot less relevant. They've become a lot less of a thing. And I'm talking the ones that are, you know, the 10 centimeter plus ones. The ones that we all forked out our money as grads to buy, that we couldn't walk in, that we trained ourselves to walk in by killing our feet, and that we walked around in the office in pretending that we were just the business when really we were the pond scum at the bottom of the feeding chain. This is what a lot of the old school grads had to go through that a lot of the modern day grads don't need to suffer through, which is, you know, something that I hope that you appreciate if you are a modern day grad. But there is something really professional in looking really comfortable in what you're wearing, and I've come to appreciate that a lot more now that I'm in my late 30s, because looking like you're comfortable in your own skin is much more powerful than having that additional height. And that's coming from someone who's petite. I'm only 5'2", and I always want that additional height because I'm obviously a lot shorter than the average person, and I still get that. I still get that from my mid heels, but I'm just much more comfortable. I can hop and skip around the office with no trouble rather than clomp in my high heels, and I just think that it's just a much more current and modern look. Maybe one day they'll come back into fashion, and I'm sure that there's probably still a place for them in formal workplaces that have more of a dressier dress code, but for the most part and for most workplaces, high heels are just not really a thing. You can still maintain that polish and channel that professionalism with a lower heel or a dressier flat. Now, my next workwear tip relates to the fit of your workwear pieces, and that is to relax your silhouettes and to dial it down a notch when it comes to structure. I think a lot of the common pieces that we would have seen in one's work wardrobe pre-March 2020 would have been a lot of figure-hugging items like pencil skirts and power dresses, and it's somewhat painful for me to say because I have built up quite a lovely collection of pencil skirts and power dresses that just have not been worn for the past couple of years. And I know that there's probably still a place for those, particularly in more formal workplaces, or if, you know, you're going to an important meeting, you're going to court, you're appearing before a government committee, for example, but it's just becoming a lot less relevant. And so instead, I'm opting for more separates like shirts and trousers. I am opting for more slim or straight varieties when it comes to trousers as well, not ones that are skinny. My skirts I'm wearing are more of a midi length that have a little bit more fluidity and movement to them, not so much that traditional corporate stuffy woolly fabric that I was wearing so much of pre-pandemic. And I think that with the general relaxation of the silhouettes just in everyday trends as well, like we're seeing a lot of low-rise baggy jeans and the 90s revival has come back, a lot of that is translating across to work wardrobes as well. Not the low-rise thing, please don't wear low-rise pants to the office. I don't know whether my fuddy-duddy heart could take that, but just in the general way in which silhouettes are relaxing. And the thing that I've learned is you can still achieve that really tailored, polished look with something that isn't so figure-hugging. I actually think that it looks a little bit more modern and a lot more stylish. So 2023 is the year in which we would continue to see silhouettes being relaxed. Now, my next tip relates specifically to blazers, and that is to avoid blazers that are poorly made or that are cheap quality and instead invest in a good quality one. And I think this tip is particularly relevant nowadays because for the past couple of years, tailoring has been such a trend. You've got tailored pieces everywhere, and you'd be hard pressed to walk into a store and not see blazers on display. And so we're seeing blazers all across the spectrum, all the way from high street to high end, with varying silhouettes, qualities, fabrics and cuts and all that sort of thing, particularly with blazers also being integrated into our off-duty wardrobes as well. And so I think that with the amount of variety and the choice that's available, it can often be overwhelming to find your perfect blazer, particularly for the workplace. And so when I say invest, I don't think that it's necessary to spend a heap of clams on a blazer, because sometimes you can buy a blazer from a contemporary label and it can be really rubbish. And on the flip side, I've got a couple of gems from the high street in my wardrobe, a couple of blazers that I bought from H&M for under $100 and have really gone the distance. And so when looking for the ideal blazer for work, you've just got to make sure that you focus on fit, making sure that it fits you properly on the shoulders, that it's not puckering in any weird places, focusing on the fabric and making sure that it is a really good quality fabric, that the threads haven't pulled in any weird places, preferably a blazer that is lined so that it has a little bit more structure to it. Particularly if you're starting out in building your work wardrobe, or you're trying to find an item that will really go the distance, then opt for a color that will easily pair with your existing work wardrobe. And so it goes without saying that black is obviously a fail-safe color, but there are a heap of other neutral tones like navy and beige and off-white that will also go the distance as well. Now, when it comes to silhouettes, I think that this ultimately boils down to the job that you do and the industry or profession that you work in. So if you work in a more traditional corporate environment, then it doesn't hurt to stick with more traditional cuts that are more fitted and more structured. But if you work in more of a creative industry, or one that's just more relaxed, then the world is your oyster. You can go for something that is a lot more relaxed and roomy. The blazer provides the structure and the polish just with the type of item that it is, but the silhouette is where you can let your personality shine. And my final tip, and one that is rather commonsensical, but one that I've had to remind myself of in recent times, is to make sure that your work bag actually fits all the things that you intend to cart with you to and from the office. And before you go at me with your "thanks for stating the obvious, Captain Obvious" comments, this is a particularly relevant tip today because laptops are now a thing. You know, back in my day, and yes, here's another geriatric example, when I started out at work, I had my own office, I had a set desk, and I had my computer all set up, and so I could commute to the office with a tiny bag. Now, with the way in which we're working and carting a laptop to and from everywhere, you need a bag that can actually hold all of your gear. And I say this because I have several beautiful pre-laptop carrying bags in my wardrobe that I have, even in recent times, insisted on continuing to use. And so I will compromise comfort just for the sake of using them. And so I will cart, you know, one beautiful bag on one arm and then a shopping bag with my laptop shoved inside or my gym gear shoved inside on the other. And even though it doesn't fit, I just look like a crazy bag lady. And the crazy bag lady look just looks really unpolished, and it just looks really old school, and I'm just really, really sad to admit it. I'm sorry, Celine handbag, but I just can't use you for work all the time anymore. It is much more modern and much more 2023 to have a bag that can actually fit all of your things. So if you are insisting on being a crazy bag person, then this is your wake-up call to stop doing that. I have only recently stopped doing that, and I am a new woman. I have a rotation of laptop-friendly totes as well as a backpack that I take with me to work depending on what activities I have planned for the day. And if you are one of those people that also likes to get a bit of exercise in the middle of your workday, then I also think that it's a good look to have a bag that actually fits all of those things as well. And that's when I will carry my backpack with me, because I just think that it just looks more modern and tidier. And there are bags that are invented that hold all of our things, people. And that's it, guys. Those are my 2023 workwear tips to take you to the modern age. I hope that you found this to be helpful and that I was able to give you some inspiration for how you are going to approach your workwear for the year. I've got a heap of work-centric videos planned for the year, and I can't wait to put those together for you. And so if you haven't already, then make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new videos. But also it helps out smaller channels like me when you guys subscribe. So thanks to those of you that have already subscribed, and like this video if you haven't already too. But if you didn't like it, then maybe just don't do anything. Don't hit the thumbs down button either, because that hurts my heart. And I'm going to leave it there, guys. I'm going to wrap it up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.